our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our daily debate. I'm Maisy Rabia. In today's edition, we are going to talk about the youth empowerment and its importance for the country. And we'll start with shedding light about President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's current visit to the Spanish capital, Madrid. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi kicked off a state visit to Spain on Tuesday for talks over means to enhance bilateral ties in various domains. During his visit, President Sisi held talks with Spanish King Felipe VI, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, and representatives of the joint Spanish companies. The head of state will take part in an economic event with Spanish business community and entrepreneurs. Presidential spokesman Mohamed Al-Shenawi said the visit would witness the signing of an agreement to alleviate and increase the level of bilateral ties to the strategic partnership. He added that the visit would also witness the signing of a number of memos of understanding, MOUs, in different fields of cooperation. Officials said Egypt and Spain are working on boosting economic ties, noting that Cairo was removing obstacles facing investors and offering investment incentives. The Spanish government has also revealed its intention to continue its support for businesses seeking opportunities in the Egyptian market. To shed more light on the visit of President Sisi to the Spanish capital, Madrid, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohammed Abdel Halim, our political analyst. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hello, how are you, sir? Dr. Abdel Halim, how do you see the importance of the visit by President Abdel Fattah Sisi to Spain and the timing of this visit?
Well, indeed, the sort of the state visit, that was to be inaugurated today by His Own Excellency, Mr. President Fattah Sisi to Spain, comes at a very crucial time. Particularly, Egypt is very much concerned nowadays, to constitute and to establish what you might call a public opinion, very much fortifying for the situation of Gaza Strip and of the Palestinian cause in general. Representing its own denial as much as rejection of the relocation and the displacement of the Gazas, actually, coupled there and then actually with a very courageous attempt at one at the same time of reconstructing Gaza Strip and the act of the return again of the refugees. There is a large number of consultations and examination of the importance of that sort of situation, insofar as it stems out of a very important fact, that is the timing, indeed, because it occurs before the inauguration of the consummation of the Arab League summit, actually, and as such it seems to be quite very much important for consultation with Spain that will be and is very much concerned with fortifying the Palestinian cause, and so far as it is commonly regarded as a European front, which is very much moderate, very much decent, and in the meantime encouraging actually the European countries to fortify and to solidify the decision of peace as much as emancipation on the regional level. The sort of the fact that will be reflected very much positively on the European security, and much the same way that it would represent and underline the fact that any sort of enkindling of a sort of a war or a tribulation in Gaza Strip will be coupled there and then actually with a hotbed situation that will enkindle the a great deal of chaotic experiences and disturbances actually in the European countries in the meantime. That's why there is a great deal, of cooperation, of mutual identification between both countries, between both points of view, both countries, not only on the level of safety and security, but in the meantime touching there and then on some economic levels in general. As a matter of fact, that sort of a state visit on the part of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Fattah Sisi, and the sort of the meetings that will be held actually with the Spanish king as much as the prime minister, with a large number of high-profile delegates in Spain, will be, initiated in the light of the very much, distinguished sort of relations that would connect both Egypt on the one hand and Spain on the other. In a large number of fields, and the sort of cooperation in a large number of spheres actually, very much distinguished. And this is commonly regarded as an official state visit on the part of Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi that would reach to a sense of strategic partnership actually. And in the meantime, it will be very much concerned with discussing and examining on top of almost all the issues and the cases and the problematic situations is the Palestinian cause on an international level, considering Spain as one of the most eminent and the first European countries that recognizes the Palestinian state, after the enkindling of Al-Aqsa flood more than a year ago, the 7th of October. Another clear testimony actually that would give us a clear indication of the importance of pushing forward all the negotiations towards the establishment of the Palestinian state on the borderlines of the 4th of June 1967, as much as reaching at the end of the day to the two-state solution indeed. As a matter of fact, Spain is commonly regarded as very much friendly sort of a European country that fortifies the Palestinian cause and almost all the international fears. And that sort of state visit, particularly at that very much crucial timing, will be very much endorsed insofar as, nowadays, particularly the previous couple of days, the heavy instruments did enter into the Gaza Strip for the process of reconstruction. It's a very good sign, actually, of the goodwill on the part of the Egyptian presidency, amid a large number of rejections and denial notes, actually, on the part of some of the, of the diplomatic circles in Israel. But I really would endorse the fact that that sort of entrance at that particular time is a master stroke on the part of the presidential authority to achieve a great deal of success amidst the sort of denial, the rejection on the part of a large number of very much fanatic circles on the Israeli side. On top of the agenda, actually, of the visit of His Own Excellency, Mr. President of Tahiti, to Spain, is always, again, will be very much concerned with pushing forward the diplomatic, consulatic, and, mutual ties for both countries. To a status that will be, at the end of the day, very much interpreted as a friendly as much as a strategic sort of relationship. And it will be witnessing a large number of meetings with investors, with businessmen, and high-profile delegations of diplomatic circles. And indeed, the advance of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Tahiti, to Madrid, for a couple of days, we'll be witnessing two distinctive meetings, actually. Very much important ones, actually. The first is, one meeting that is very much concerned with one of the big companies, very much peculiar to the construction and the establishment of the vessels, of massive vessels, insofar as Spain is very much well known of the process of manufacturing, massive vessels. And the second meeting actually will be with the big firms actually concerning tourism, given the fact that Spain is also one of the very much famous European countries that is very much remunerative and producing high income actually that comes from tourism on a large scale. As a matter of fact, that sort of visit on the part of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Tahiti, is supposed to be, the second visit, and so far as the first one was during the course of 2015, and it was to be preceded, actually, with a large number of visits to Britain, to Germany, to France, America, to Italy, a large number of European countries towards the process of establishing peace and good relations with European countries and adjacent countries in the meantime.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think, after his own advent, His Own Excellency, Mr. President of Sisi, will be heading towards the establishment of the Spanish government,
Yes.
and will be received by the Prime Minister, that is Pedro Sanchez.
Yes.
And in the meantime, we'll be, witnessing a large number of examinations and
Yes.
prime representation of the Palestinian cause, and particularly concentrating on the process of reconstruction again, and the rejection, the absolute sense of denial of relocation, of displacement, of any sort of an evacuation of a single individual sort of a Palestinian, citizen. That sort of, visit coming at a very crucial time.
Indeed.
Will be marking one of the very much historical moments in the history of the presidential authority, of the presidential attempts, actually, and successful innovative steps towards achieving stability and security, and of the return again of the refugees that in the meantime will be in representing the encouragement on the Spanish circles, and evaluating and appreciating the efforts and the courageous steps and the very much, very much active innovative talks with the view of, the spreading of peace in the Palestinian territorial land.
Dr. Abdul Halim, actually, President Abdel Fattah Sisi tomorrow will attend an economic event with the Spanish business community and entrepreneurs, and according to the presidential spokesman, the visit will witness the signing of an agreement to increase the level of bilateral ties to the level of strategic partnership. What's your take on that?
Well, the fact that, our own relations with Spain could be interpreted as very much, active one indeed, and as I just said, from the previous sorts of relations, and the cooperation between the two countries, tomorrow's meeting actually will be witnessing one of the most vital spheres of which we can really very much achieve a great deal of success with Spain, which is tourism. Most of each countries actually are very much witnessing very much negative steps towards the sorts of exchanging of, tours and encouraging the airplane flights as much as, in the meantime, investing a large number of very much successful and remunerative source of communications on the economic part as much as on the field of tourism. I think, this is very much reminiscent of the previous visit of which His Own Excellency did, visit Spain about 4 years ago, that witnessed a large number of strategic partnership as much as economic, relations. And you can really anticipate what sorts of results that could be achieved from such a presidential tour from the number of the ministers that is accompanying His Own Excellency. That would be, at the end of the day, very much enhancing the bilateral ties, the mutual identification between the two countries, the consensus of opinion between the two states, that with the view of reaching to the stability and distinguished authority, and the sense of peace and the mutual concern about the establishment of the Palestinian state and the reaching to the two-state solution at the end of the day.
Of course. Dr. Abdul Halim, also the visit will witness the signing of a number of memos of understanding between the two states in different fields of cooperation. How do you see the most important fields of cooperation between Egypt and Spain, and how we would be able to attract more Spanish investment to Egypt?
Perhaps the two most, important things. First is, manufacturing vessels, because, Spain is very much widely known for its own vast technological aspects and modern means of technology and producing, very much successful negative vessels throughout oceans and seas. And in the meantime, the strategic partnership between the two countries is one of the great concerns, insofar as, it will be helping in somehow or another of representing the sort of, the mutual identification between the two countries, and pushing forward political as much as the consulatic diplomatic ties to a status which is a bit advanced. And in the meantime, I think the meeting with investors, as much as great businessmen and very much massive, widely known companies and factories, men of politics, will be very much helping in more than one respect of reaching at the end of the day of a very much friendly tie. The source of the thing that had been inaugurated since quite a long period of time between both Egypt on the one hand and Spain on the other, because the history is very much widely known of the source of the very good diplomatic relations and good friendly ties between the two countries. The source of the thing that has been prepared for His Excellency's previous visit during the 2015 to Madrid.
Yes.
I think today's visit, as much as tomorrow's meeting, will be enhancing the bilateral ties to a greater extent. I mean, reaching to a sense of solidarity and of mutual identification, as much as representing the source of the affinity and the sense of togetherness, with the view of not only rebuilding and re-enhancing and re-establishing very good ties between the two countries from economic point of view, but in the meantime, diplomatically as much as politically. That is the Palestinian cause that will be on top of the prime concerns of both presidents' tomorrow's meeting.
Yes. Back to the economic file, Dr. Abdel Halim, officials said that Egypt and Spain are working actually on boosting the economic ties, noting that Cairo is actually working on removing obstacles facing investors and offering investment incentives. Indeed, we are seeing the keenness of the Egyptian administration on attracting foreign investments and trying to give incentives and create more attractive investment atmosphere in the country. What's your take on that?
Well, this is quite true. I mean, since the first thing, as much as the second thing, His Own Excellency, Mr. President al-Sisi is very much concerned with expanding the investment and the foreign sense of expenditure of investing a large number of companies and of, you know, I mean, very much successful commercial communicative ties actually between the two countries, not only Spain, but as I just said, with Britain, with Germany, with France, with Italy. But reaching Spain at this particular stage is one of the best among the rest, insofar as we are very much similar to each other, not only from economic point of view of investing and of changing, of importing, of exporting, you know, merchandise items that are very much of deep interest for both of us. But in the meantime, it would, from my own point of view, the investment and the expenditure and the source of the importation and the exportation between the two countries will be in somehow or another, you know, I mean, helping the strategic partnership in a way that would enhance and fortify the sense of cooperation in representing at the end of the day a manifesto that would have its own say on a political dimension, which is the reaching at the end of the day the, you know, I mean, the establishment of the two-state solution and of the act of denial and rejection of any sort of relocation on almost any sort of constitutional aspect on the part of either the American administration or even the Israeli side. Because, I mean, before that sort of visit, actually, you know, I mean, there was a very interesting and very much important phone call on the part of, you know, I mean, the Danish, you know, I mean, Prime Minister, I mean, a couple of days ago, that would almost fortify and would represent and would recruit the same trend of representing the denial on an international level for, you know, I mean, any act of relocation. And I think by these extensive visits and these very much wide tours, and very much successful phone calls between His Own Excellency, Mr. President al-Sisi, on the one hand, and with a large number of European presidents and prime ministers, will be in somehow or another representing the, to the outward community, to the Western world at large, and to the European community at large, the source of the one fundamental, you know, I mean, target on the part of the Egyptian presidency, which is, you know, I mean, helping the Palestinian people, fortifying any sort of the Arab situation and the sort of thing that had been attested to by the denial on the part of His Own Excellency for, the removal or the act of changing the Palestinian state and removing it actually to Saudi Arabia, the sort of the thing that resulted in a very much strong and courageous manifesto that would give the impression that always Cairo is there, fortifying, representing, endorsing and pushing steps to peace, not only within the Palestinian territorial lands, but almost in any single individual sort of adjacent Arab country. And this is not only on a local level, but actually on the international level, the sort of the thing that had been attested to by today's very much successful state visit on the part of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
Indeed. Dr. Mohammed Abdel Halim, our political analyst, thank you so much, sir, for your precious input. Always a pleasure to have you with us, sir. And moving on to our second topic for discussion, and Egypt climbs 22 places in 2024 Global Youth Development Index. Egypt has risen 22 spots in 2024.
Egypt has risen 22 spots in the 2024 Global Youth Development Index, ranking 99th out of 183 countries with a score of 0.733. This improvement, up from 123rd place in 2020, reflects the country's efforts to empower its youth through comprehensive programs in education, sports, employment and culture. The index published by the Commonwealth places Egypt in the high-performing category for youth development. Minister of Youth and Sports Ashraf Subhi credited this progress to strong political support and investments in youth infrastructure, which have helped young Egyptians develop their skills and contribute to national development. Egypt has exerted relentless efforts to empower youth in order to drive development, especially in rural areas, and provide them with job opportunities to improve their income. The state has also allocated billions of pounds towards financing small, medium and micro programs. Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Legal Affairs and Political Communication, Councillor Mahmoud Fawzi, has pointed out that the role of the National Dialogue in empowering youth has started with assigning the task of organizing the National Dialogue with a direct assignment to the National Youth Conference, fully relying on youth elements in forming the technical secretariat of the dialogue, and even allocating a committee for youth within the community axis of the dialogue. The minister further stressed that the state, under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, has been keen to empower the youth. He noted that this keenness was embodied in the presidential initiatives to qualify youth and establish training entities, headed by the National Academy for Training and Youth Rehabilitation. Fawzi further stressed that the country has made great strides in achieving actual empowerment of youth, which has appeared and become clear in assuming a large number of youth leadership positions at the level of government, governorates and parliamentary councils. He also stressed the role of youth in the national dialogue and their participation in formulating recommendations and suggestions on national issues. Minister Hala Said underscored the crucial role of the youth as ambassadors for Egypt's Vision 2030 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and with 60% of Egypt's population comprising of youth, the initiative aims to harness their potential in advocating for sustainable development and initiatives across the nation.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, to shed the light today on our debate regarding the strategic management. We are very much delighted to be joined here in the studio by Kirlos Nabil, board member of the Egyptian Youth Council. Mr. Dr. Kirlos, good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Dr. Kirlos, how do you estimate the state's ongoing effort to empower the youth in various domains in line of Egypt's Vision 2030 for sustainable development?
Okay. If we are talking about Egypt's efforts for youth, especially with Egypt's strategy for sustainable development, I can say it's perfectly aligned with the strategic planning and what Egypt want in particular in the sustainable development strategy. So I think in all of these efforts that government did last days, is encouraging youth to participate in civil work and also in all frameworks of Egyptian government work.
Dr. Kirlos, you are actually a board member of the Egyptian Youth Council. How did you, as a young Egyptian, feel by yourself, by your own experience, the keenness of the Egyptian administration to give more empowerment to our youth in Egypt?
You know, let's say that not only the government can do all the work.
Oh, indeed.
We have to share the efforts with the government, even from the public sector and private sector, and also NGOs and civil society organizations like Egyptian Youth Council. We are promoting youth by increasing their awareness, enhancing their capabilities, and also a lot of programs for capacity building. So working on these all fields and programs can help the government and also help the youth people to increase their awareness, which impact positively in the government development.
Yes, indeed. What are the most important, from your point of view, governmental initiatives and the programs to support the youth and qualify them to be able to work in leading positions in the state?
Actually, you mean only the governmental initiatives, or or something else? Okay. In my opinion, I think presidential leadership program is one of the most important initiatives that made by the government. Also, Ministry of Youth and Sport has a lot of programs in all fields, especially for capacity building and increasing awareness.
What measures have been taken by the state to enhance youth political participation from your point of view, Kirlos?
I think political participation is very important these days, especially for youth people. But when we take about measures, I think we have a lot of programs and initiatives made by the country and also by the government to increase what the exactly can be made by youth people. For instance, we can say about Ministry of Youth and Sports have a simulation for the House of the Senate, for example. Also, they have a youth parliament. And we can also talk about political parties. Every political party nowadays has a specific secretariat for youth, which covers all the country, and all people, from young people and youth people, can join this secretariat for involving in political affairs from young age.
Dr. Kirlos, indeed, as a participant, and not only a participant, but a board member of the Egyptian Youth Council, what's the main activities of the Youth Council in order to reach Egypt's vision for the state, for the youth development and the development in general for 2030, Egypt's vision 2030, and to what extent you are working with, as you have kindly mentioned before, with the NGOs and the different entities in order to reach that?
Okay. Let's say, like we said before, that not only the government should play the single role, but also NGOs has a very important role in this. So in my council, we have more than 52 specific programs for capacity building in all fields for the youth people. Also, we have a lot of memberships and relations, especially with international entities. For example, we have membership. Only the Egyptian organization has this membership in International Federation of Liberal Youth, which can make our youth in Egypt interact and deal with another countries and see what people can do in political affairs, or also in social matters.
Indeed. And also to shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Nabil Nakla, or Professor of Strategic Management. Dr. Nakla, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Very honored.
It's our honor always, Dr. Nakhla. Doctor, actually Egypt climbs 22 places in 2024 for the Global Youth Development Index, and the ranking 99th out of 183 countries with score of 0.733. How do you see the importance of that for the youth development?
First of all, we would love to congratulate our dear country with the vision of our dear beloved President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi for all what is going for youth of Egypt.
Indeed.
A lot of initiatives, a lot of work, and a lot of money spent and visionary, strategically planning for our youth. As you know, our country is 60% young population. The median age, as we always say, is around 24 years old. And we saw that this achievement in climbing to the 22 places in the Global Youth Development Index is not by coincidence, it's hard work. The index is published by Commonwealth and international organizations. And of course, we congratulate the Minister of Youth and Sports, Dr. Ashraf Subhi, for creating a lot of programs for youth.
Of course.
To strong political support and investment in our youth infrastructure as well. Thousands of youth places and centers of youth, not only in Cairo or in Alexandria or in the main cities, everywhere, even in rural areas, even in decent life initiative cities or villages. We have youth centers which really helps our young Egyptian to develop their skills and contribute to national development of our country.
Dr. Nakhla, what are, from your point of view, the most important governmental initiatives and programs to support the youth and to qualify them to be able to hold leading posts in the state?
Egypt has really exerted a lot of efforts, and we saw a lot of initiatives for training, for human development. We saw the great initiative of Bidaya, of beginning, if you translate Bidaya, the new beginning, which really concentrated on youth in everywhere. Human capabilities, human building. Egypt is not only building its infrastructure, but our main asset is our youth, and the state has also allocated billions of pounds towards financing small and medium micro entrepreneur programs for SMEs. We saw ministries, not only the youth and sports. We saw also the great work that took place in the national dialogue with, and the assignment to the National Youth Conference, fully relying on the youth element, informing the technical secretariat of the dialogue. And even we saw the allocation of the committee for youth within the community access of the dialogue. We saw the great initiative of the Minister of Communication and Technology, and the digital transformation and the digitizing and digital entrepreneurs. We saw His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, our beloved President, directing millions and billions of Egyptian pounds per year for the new initiative, which is aiming to qualify 12,000 Egyptian youth annually to offer a variety of intensive training programs, persons aged, the age group from 15 to 32, which is a very wide, very important age group for the work capabilities and for the job creation. A lot of programs, even from the Ministry of Development and Economic Development, and even the Ministry of Social Solidarity, with a lot of training, the national training, the NTA, the National Training
Academy.
Exactly, Academy, and all the courses and all the empowerment for youth and women of Egypt.
Indeed.
Actually, a lot of initiatives on the same time. Each initiative is very specialized in a very specialized group, targeting the right segment to assure job creation, to assure enhancement of human capabilities and skills and competencies of our youth.
Doctor, how do you estimate the state's ongoing efforts to empower the youth in various domains in line of Egypt's Vision 2030?
Egypt Vision 2030 is very focused on women, youth, and no one is left behind, like we say in the slogan of the new government.
Yes.
We are seeing that these courses and these programs and these initiatives are big opportunities, even for the NGOs, for companies, for private sectors. Everyone can put the input and can share to make sure that our youth are very high calibers. The asset of Egypt is well prepared and well professional, scientific, and also we saw the partnership and the collaboration between universities and researchers and the training and the knowledge and the skill and enhancement on all levels.
Doctor, from your point of view, how have the various youth initiatives and programs impacted the youth development and their characters and their actual participation in the decision-making and the political life in Egypt?
We saw that our country is really giving youth the position and the part of being decision makers. We saw the national dialogue. They were the ones who were arranging and preparing and taking the lead. We saw also a lot of initiatives for financial inclusion and digitizing. We saw the initiatives for the youth and women in agribusiness and in agricultural initiatives to help them to export. And we already, our youth already, a lot of medium, small enterprises and entrepreneurs are being really supported. We saw the ecosystem of startups and SMEs in Egypt. The ecosystem, the last map of the ecosystem, it looks humongous and full of support from everyone and everywhere. So, I mean, these initiatives are very important for our country and for our youth to be skilled and ready for the new technology, the new jobs, the new future. Also, a lot of what you say, protection and enhancement programs.
Indeed. Dr. Nakhla, how have various youth initiatives also and programs did support the entrepreneurs among the youth in Egypt?
The SMEs in Egypt, they form a big part of our GDP, and the youth are supported not only by ongoing efforts to empower them, but also by providing funding for SMEs, for small, medium-sized enterprises.
Yes.
Through the initiatives from the Central Bank of Egypt and national banks.
Yes.
Personally, I was involved in one of these initiatives. I had SMEs that they were not in the official business, they were not in the official economy, and we saw that the new initiative of the Central Bank of Egypt, the new initiative is called the Financial Inclusion Initiative, and now they allow any young person, women or youth, to go to the national banks and open a financial inclusion account with their ID.
Yes.
And in the name of their business and in the name of their companies. And what happened in front of my eyes to these SMEs, that they not only opened the financial inclusion account for them without any minimum payment, without any administration cost, nothing, they paid zero, and they opened the account with the name of their businesses, which is micro businesses, and they gave them a POS machine, a Visa machine that they can use while they are in their, you know, they go to clubs, they go to fairs, they go to sell their places. So now the support is not only for their businesses, but it's also for changing them from unofficial economy to the official economy, with no burdens of needing to have a place to work from. No, you can work digitally. Also, a lot of collaboration between the government agencies and the private sector to develop digital platforms. There is a big digital platform now that is getting in place for supporting them to export their products.
Of course.
And to facilitate...
Great efforts exerted in order to support our youth. Dr. Nabil Nakhla, Professor of Strategic Management, thank you so much for your precious input. And our viewers, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli says Digital Entrepreneurs Youth Empowerment Initiative to be launched at 3 billion Egyptian pounds.
The government has submitted a new youth empowerment initiative dubbed Digital Entrepreneurs to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who's directed the Tahya Misra Fund to bear the implementation cost of the initiative, which amounts to 3 billion Egyptian pounds per year. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said President el-Sisi had also instructed the government to work on qualifying more young people in this critical sector. Madbouli said the new initiative aims to qualify 12,000 Egyptian youth annually, noting that it offers a variety of intensive training programs for persons aged between 15 and 32. He added that those programs include a 4 to 9 month specialized diploma course and a 2-year professional or scientific master's degree. Prime Minister added that the initiative is designed to qualify youth for the specialized courses that cover the fields of ICT and artificial intelligence, pointing out that the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology would share the initiative's implementation costs with the Tahya Misra Fund. Madbouli further said the initiative will offer targeted individuals fully funded scholarships that included accommodation costs. He explained the program combines theoretical and academic studies with practical application of the lessons learned in coordination with relevant companies operating in Egypt. By the end of these courses, there will be opportunities to join these companies, noting that the programs, especially the master's degree, will be taken in partnership with some international universities. Madbouli also added President Sisi has directed that the initiative program start by the end of the second quarter of the year to groom the Egyptian youth for a promising market. He said Egypt's agricultural exports have now reached $10.6 billion, marking a 17% increase, adding that the government aims for a 15 to 20% annual export growth with expectations of a trade surplus before 2030. The minister stressed that investing in the creativity and energy of youth in agriculture is vital for Egypt's future and economic growth, particularly as the agricultural sector remains one of the country's most important economic pillars.
And welcome back, our dear viewers, back to our dear guest in the studio, Dr. Kirlos. You were mentioning here while the report was on that you wanted to comment about the financial inclusion that Dr. Nakla was talking about. What's your take on it?
Yes, actually I have a simple comment for Dr. Niveen's speech, because in Egyptian Youth Council we have a specific program for financial inclusion. It's called the National Program for Increasing Awareness of Financial Inclusion. And we did already, we are working on it for 2 years ago. And we are working on it starting from Aswan to Alexandria in more than 16 governorates in Egypt. And the main core of this program is increasing awareness how people dealing with banking sector. Because if we are talking about entrepreneurship and we are talking about youth empowerment, I think, in my opinion, it's the main problem is financing, and it's the main problem indeed. So the Central Bank of Egypt initiatives and also the NGOs have to make like, you know, I mean, they found a way to get a lot of people from outside the banking sector to inside the banking sector to decrease as much as we can the informal economic. So it's a win-win situation for the banking sector and also for youth people.
Yes. To what extent, from your point of view, Kirlos, this financial inclusion is of great benefit to our youth?
Actually, for financial inclusion programs, the main beneficiaries is youth and women.
Yes.
Because it's they are the biggest segment. They was out of the banking sector.
Yes.
So when we are including them inside the banking sector, they can use what banking offer for them, and also use it in increasing their standard of living. I think all of banks like, now in Egypt has a specific program for youth, even for financial inclusion or for startups.
That would bring me to tell you, can you shed more light about the government support for the entrepreneurship among the youth?
Yes, like we said before, and also Dr. Niveen mentioned it. Central Bank of Egypt and also, you know, Tahimas Fund have a special programs for youth and entrepreneurship. Also, Central Bank has a lot of initiatives for small and medium enterprises, which the main beneficiary in this field is youth.
Indeed. To what extent also Egypt has taken care of the youth entities and build their character as well as developing their innovative skills?
We can say that by offering a lot of programs in all fields, not only in science or technology, but also in arts, we can offer a lot of specific programs. And I think the Ministry of Youth and Sport have now youth entities union to collect all the youth people in under only one umbrella, which can be useful for all and has a lot of opportunities for everyone.
That would bring me to ask you, how do the ongoing initiatives by the states and the government address the gender equality among the youth in Egypt?
Okay. Actually, this time is the best time for gender equality. And
yes.
Let me mention something, please. If we are talking about gender equality, I have to send special thanks to my colleague, Dr. Maya Aglan. He is one of the best people working in gender equality. But we have specific programs in government entities or also in our council made especially for women. For instance, the National Training Program is offering a program for women leads in governorates from all Egyptian governorates. And also our council, we have more than 30 programs specifically for women. We have, for example, we have a program for women in Sinai. How to... In particular, yes. And also we have programs for women who are working in agriculture. Women who...
So there are also specialized programs for certain...
Especially tailored for people in this sector. Yes.
Indeed, very important initiative and very important support for the youth. Our dear guest, Dr. Kirlos Nabil, board member of the Egyptian Youth Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to send also thanks to our chairman, Dr. Mohammed Mamdouh. He is the chairman of the Egyptian Youth Council and also the chairperson of Economic Committee in National Human Rights Council.
Thank you so much, Kirlos. Our dear viewers, with that we come to the end of this edition of the Daily Debate. I'm Rabia. Have a lovely evening.